Hi, this is Dan Manning. I'm the lead instructor for human intelligence. Today, we're going to talk about the 10 questions decision makers need to ask about their AI systems. And the AI system we're looking at today is Jarvis.AI. It's a pretty good copywriting system, but there's some deadly errors you need to watch out for. I'll see you back in a second. All right, so the first question, what problem is this AI system designed to solve? The folks at Jarvis.AI say that it's designed to solve your copywriting problems, that you can use this AI system to write blog posts, to write social media posts, to write sales letters, to write marketing copy for your websites, and even to write books. All right, so what prediction is this system designed to make? So this system is designed to predict which words sound good together, right? Or maybe for sales copy, it's designed to say which words will motivate people to make a sale or to move to the next phase in your conversion funnel. So it's taking some copy that you submit, right? You give it some initial ideas, maybe a product description, maybe some initial copy, and then it tries to build out on that and expand on it to predict what words will sound pretty good. It gives you some options, and then you get to choose if any of those sound good to you or ask it to produce more for you. All right, so question 3 is how accurate are its predictions? So what I've done here is called up one of the various templates that you can use. So you've got several in here. If you want to do something very specific about making a Google Ads headline or descriptions for Google or for Amazon, you can do that. It's got down to video titles. In fact, I'll probably even use it to write the copy for this YouTube video, but you can do whatever you want. In this case, I've picked a marketing framework that takes the basic steps of attention, interest, desire, and action and puts them together. So for this example, I'm using the AI for Decision Makers workshop that actually these 10 questions come from. So you list the product that you're trying to sell and a quick description about the product. So in this case, I'm talking about the 3-hour workshop that helps decision makers to understand what they need to know about working with AI. And then you put in the tone of voice that you want to use. You can do just about anything. There's tons that you can put in there. I tried informative, and let's see what happens there. So this content is from something previous. So let's generate some new AI content, and let's see what it says. So it's doing the processing there. It's generating something new. Now, truthfully, when I did it before, it was not quite so slow, but it's not too bad. So here we go. So the attention step: are you a decision maker? Interest: you've probably heard about AI, but do you know what it is and how to use it responsibly? If not, this workshop's for you. We teach the basics. Then the desire: the 3-hour workshop gives you all the info you need to know to be an educated decision maker. That's pretty good. And the action: sign up for our next session. So these are good. Here's: we want your business to be successful in the age of artificial intelligence. Click here if you're interested in our next available date. Decision makers are high in demand. That one's maybe a little bit weaker than the others, so that's good. Great. So if you like those, then you can take them. If you don't, you can generate more. So let's say that we wanted to use that first one. So you just click on it. You can copy it from here. You can paste it into to something else that you want to use, or you can go back and have it generate some more. Let's see if we change the tone of voice from informative to funny, and let's see how these change. Okay, here we go. So this is supposed to be funny. So you've got a problem and you need to solve it. We've got the perfect solution for you. We teach decision makers how to connect their expertise. 3-hour workshop. Good. So it's so it's not bad. So how accurate are its predictions? In this case, they're pretty good, right? And in fact, the entire system is based on GPT-3, which is the leading edge, state-of-the-art system for generating speech, and that's why it's so good, right? They have a connection to an API connection to that AI system that now is tuned to do exactly what it is that they're looking to do. All right, so question 4, what are the deadly predictions? So with some clients that I work with, deadly predictions are literally deadly, whether it's with medical systems or with defense technology. But in this case, deadly is more deadly for your business. And here's one sort of troubling thing that I discovered as I was using this system. So here's one where you're using Jarvis to help you write maybe a blog post or some longer form article. So here, let's say I'm talking about the importance of AI today. I give it a little bit of content description here that spending is increasing, more companies are adopting AI. I want to talk about AI, creativity, and customer service. So I let it click compose, and now it starts making some stuff up. So here, it's got, in fact, this time it took me right to an article on the importance of AI today. So it just called back up this article. Let's see if that's actually a thing. So we'll go up here. And it's not, right? So what it did is it just completely made up a URL, right? That innovationai.com doesn't appear to be a real, or at least it's not owned by anybody right now. The importance of AI today is an article, it says, by David Smith. So let's take a look at that. Let's see if that's a real thing. So it doesn't look like it is a real thing at all. David Smith is the founder of MediaSmith. This guy's working on the impact of AI and collaboration. Trust is the biggest obstacle. So here's the problem that I found, right? And this one kind of came up different than when I did it before, right? Because in this case, it's generating some words that generally make sense, but there's no substance, right? There's no like truth to those things. I don't even know some AI programs, right? But I'm not confident that anybody at InnoVision ever published this article that is here. So that's the problem. So it's generating words that go together, but not anything that actually means anything. So let's try this. Let's say that the cost of an AI system is, right? So I give it a little bit more seed text to tell it to compose, let it finish out that sentence. A major barrier for adoption, right? It says AI researchers have theorized that AI systems are capable of self-improvement and even adjusting their own code, but they're far from being cost-effective for business use. In fact, many researchers theorize that that's not going to be the case for a while. Robotic manufacturing, AI, medical diagnoses. Let's try something else. Let's say but the price tag can be between, let's see what it says. So I kind of let it right to a place where it needed to finish out that sentence with something that made sense, right? But the price tag can be between millions of dollars to tens of millions of dollars for these types of systems. Difficult to create, highly skilled team, steep startup costs. And they're saying that it took 32 PhDs from Alphabet, 4 years, and 32 PhDs from Alphabet to make the DeepMind program. So that's pretty close to accurate, but I'm not confident that that's actually the real thing. And here's the problem, right? That the way that the algorithm is built is just making sentences that make sense. I have one example when I was testing it out where it said a Harvard study said, and then had a Harvard study in quotation marks. I searched, I couldn't find that Harvard study anywhere. I believe that everything was completely made up. It attributed it to a Harvard study, but not one that was reality. When I read it, I was pretty impressed because it would have been a great study that proved exactly the point that I was trying to make. But here's the problem, right? It's just making it up. It's just making the words that go together to sound good. So if you as a business owner, as someone who's putting out content, are just taking what the AI is saying, and you're putting out your own content and relying on the AI to be accurate, you're messing up. You've got to still take your expertise and then combine that with the speed and scale that Jarvis can offer you to put out something that's actually worthwhile. The last thing you want is to put out some content, have the people that are following you or your audience rely on that content, only to find out that it's completely made up and completely false. So that's the deadly prediction that Jarvis can make. All right, so question 5. What's the data set for the right answer? So as I mentioned, Jarvis runs on GPT-3, which is the most advanced speech simulator, speech generator that exists. And the way that it was able to build its enormous database, 175 billion data points, was by crawling the internet. So it goes and it crawls the web. It absorbs tons of information about the way that people write, not only in English, but also in many other languages as well. And then it trains by taking sentences and removing words, and then trying to figure out how to put those words back in. So it tries to rebuild sentences that are close to what would exist in real life. So the data set for the right answer and the way people talk is the internet. So what's the data set for the not right answer? So essentially, things that are excluded from the internet are not part of the data set, right? So ways that people talk that are not represented online or are less represented online are the things that are not right, right? The phrasing that is least likely to occur is typically not the phrasing that you're going to get in a system like this. All right, so what other information is hidden in the data? So because the data comes from the internet, you get a wide swath of different topics, different styles of writing, different people who are producing content there. But the problem is all the content that you see there online is generated by people who have access to the internet and are able to produce content to put online. If you come from a less connected culture, or if you come from some type of disadvantaged background as a community and you're not able to post as many websites or have your content represented online, it's less likely to be present here. So 175 billion is a lot, but there are certainly topics and people that you're not going to find online, and those people are going to be excluded from the data set. All right, so in the AI for Decision Makers workshop, we talk about the difference between diagnosing and screening. Essentially, diagnosing is making a decision and then taking some action. Screening is designed to say, hey, take a look at these things and now focus your attention on these rather than focusing your attention on this bigger problem. So one thing I think that Jarvis is really good at is giving you a good starting point. So let's see how that works on one of these. Switch here. Okay. So let's say that we wanted to write a blog post. One of the hardest parts about writing a blog post or just any type of writing is getting started. But let's really put Jarvis to the test here. Let's say that I want to write an article about how to talk to veterans about suicide. Let's say resources are available for help, and seeking help is a sign of strength. Then it asks for some keywords. So I'd want, for SEO type purposes, I'd want somebody looking up suicide, veterans, and let's say PTSD. Okay, and now it wants a title. So if you are so let's just do this. Let's ask it to generate some ideas first. So it doesn't have much. It just has those couple of sentences I have there. It's got some quick headlines. Help for veterans struggling with suicidal thoughts. Resources are available, right? Those are pretty good. 11 steps to increase conversions on your website. Probably that's not going to be a good one. So this is a case where you don't just let it pick one, right? You don't let it diagnose what the right headline is. You let it screen. So here it's taken a universe of headlines, reduce it down to about 10 now that I can look at. And some of these are pretty good. So let's say that we're doing this one. Let's say help for veterans struggling with suicidal thoughts, resources are available. And so let's say that we just let Jarvis just keep writing and see what Jarvis comes up with. So this is a pretty tough topic for people to talk about in general. So let's see how Jarvis did. It's pretty fast. If you know or love a veteran who's struggling with suicidal thoughts, the first thing remember is they're not alone. 1 in 5 veterans struggle with mental health issues. That seems about right. I don't know if it's accurate. I would want to go back and not allow Jarvis to make that diagnosis for me if it's quoting a fact. I want to go back and use that as a screening, saying, that's a good thing for me to focus on, double check, and see if that's true. Department of Veterans Affairs, 22 veterans commit suicide every day, which is the number that's often quoted. Provide information on how to talk to your veterans. That's good. All right, so it's not too bad, right? It's pretty good. So now you go to open the editor, and now it gives you a start, right? It gives you something to start talking about here. When I did this as a test previously, it actually did something that was pretty interesting. Here's a case where it says the first step is to listen, let them know you care, ask how they're feeling. Many resources for veterans, right? Let's say let's add a little something to it, right? So you sort of take turns as you're writing. You write a little bit, and then it recharges Jarvis to come back. So let's see if this is the right number for the veterans crisis line. 1-800-273-8255. But here's the real key, right? That Jarvis is a tool for what I would call screening, right? It's a tool that allows you to get a start and then allow yourself to focus attention on the parts that you really want to focus in your attention on, rather than using Jarvis to write a blanket blog post or literally anything and then just post it without combining it with the expertise that you bring to the challenge as well. All right, so for every system that has some really good uses, you can also misuse the system. So let's take a look at this. So if there's nothing that's checking for truth, right? So let's say that I want to write a blog article that says, after Jeff Bezos came back from space, he said the trip wasn't worth it and that nobody should ever go to space again. So now I can have Jarvis generate some headlines based on essentially that content. Is space ever worth it? Space trip cost Jeff Bezos $10 billion. I'm not sure if that number is correct. Nobody should ever go to space again. Space is not worth the time or money. 3 reasons Jeff Bezos says you shouldn't go to space ever again. So let's use that one. And let's let Jarvis generate the information there. Right, so again, none of this is true. Jeff Bezos loved his trip to space. So let's see. So Jeff Bezos recently gave a speech about time and space, came back to Earth, not just new knowledge, but new skills. Okay, let's use this one right here. Let's see what it says. So he says, I came back to Earth, not just with new knowledge, but also with new skills. He then went on to say that Amazon's considering launching cargo rockets into space to deliver goods. However, it's not the most shocking thing he had to say during his talk. It told us that no one should ever go into space again. So I'm interested. Let's click compose. And now it's got a quote. And it quotes Jeff Bezos there saying he wanted to give a speech about his time in space, said nobody should ever go again. He shared what it was like living on the ISS for 5 weeks. He talked about how Amazon's considering cargo rockets to deliver goods faster, right? So none of that is true. He didn't say that. He didn't live on the ISS for 5 weeks, right? These are just words that sound good together. So, but the risk here is that it's super simple to create misinformation, essentially, right? If I wanted to misuse the system, I would just use it to produce a lot of stuff that just simply isn't true, and it's going to do it faster, and right, it does it with speed and scale. It does it faster than I can make it up myself, and now I can mass produce this misinformation to get out there. So that's how you could misuse Jarvis if that's what you're into. All right, so of all the questions that decision makers can ask about their AI systems, I believe these are the most important. Where is the system most reliable? and for Jarvis is most reliable, no surprise, in the place where it is for doing what it's designed to do, and that is generate marketing copy. And it's really good. Here I'm doing a case where I've put in more information about the AI for decision makers workshop, which you can sign up with yourself as well, and letting it come up with some information. Here it says you'll walk away with a better understanding of how to use AI assistants and come up with a strategy behind deploying them. Right, here's a little bit of a longer one that talks about information. Here's buzzed about topics. So if I take this, right, this is good. Right, I can take this and now I can use it. I can copy it. I can edit it. I can build it out into something that's really good. So it is most reliable in that place where I'm using it to build marketing copy. Where is it the least reliable? Certainly in new things, right? If I'm talking about things that were not previously a part of that data set, if I'm trying to report news or things that could not have been built into that, it's not going to be very reliable there either. It's going to have some information from the time that the web was crawled, and it could bring in some facts from that time, but you're going to want to check out each of those. And where is it unreliable? It's unreliable in, I would say, every place that it produces a fact or a quote. If you're going to use Jarvis to produce some type of copy and it comes up with any number, you need to go back and double check that number and make sure that it's something that's accurate and is something that you can count on. Just because you're using this AI system to make it easier to write, and I think it really is good for that. And I've used it a few times myself in some of my own copy and for my own businesses, and it's good, and it's especially good for a great start. But you've got to make sure that the facts are correct. You want people to believe you, and you're not going to be able to blame it on Jarvis and say that the AI just made a problem, right? It's always all about the humans. Thanks. If you like this, subscribe. I'll be posting some more of these, and we'll get you updated for the next one. If there's something else you want me to take a look at and apply the 10 questions to that, let me know. Put it in the comments or send me a DM. If you're interested in the AI for Decision Makers workshop, then sign up, and I'll put the link in the comments down below. Thanks. See you next time.